Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're not just observing, we're witnessing a profound transformation. 2025 has been officially designated the International Year of Quantum Science and Technology by the UN,
Mhm.
celebrating a century since quantum mechanics first emerged. But this isn't just about looking back, it's a clear signal, isn't it? Something truly profound is accelerating right now.
Precisely. Yeah, this designation isn't just symbolic. It really underscores how quantum is rapidly transitioning from, abstract theory into tangible applications,
Yeah.
things poised to impact all of us, whether we realize it yet or not.
And that's our mission today. We're taking a deep dive into the world of quantum technology, or QT. We've been poring over the latest Quantum Technology Monitor 2025 and other related reports from McKinsey. Think of this as your shortcut, really, to understanding why QT is gaining such widespread traction worldwide. We're going to cover last year's breakthroughs, the surging investment trends, and the emerging opportunities in this rapidly evolving landscape. We're going to explore how quantum is sprinting out of the lab and, well, into our lives.
And we'll guide you through the three core pillars of quantum technology.
Mm.
So you've got quantum computing, QC,
Okay.
then quantum communication, QComm, and quantum sensing, QS. Each of these is poised to redefine what's possible, really, from unlocking immense computational power to ensuring unbreakable security and achieving unprecedented measurement precision.
Okay, let's unpack this for quantum computing first then. The reports highlight a crucial shift. For the first time in 4 years of monitoring, apparently. In 2024, the focus moved. It went from simply growing the number of qubits
Yeah, just see.
to
Well,
actually stabilizing them and
uh-huh.
correcting errors.
And what's fascinating here is that this signals a critical leap,
Hmm.
a leap towards quantum computers becoming, well, truly dependable. It's a shift from raw experimental power to, practical, reliable systems.
Right.
It's telling mission-critical industries that QT could soon become a stable component of their tech infrastructure.
Right.
It's the difference between, say, a prototype and an actual product.
So we know qubits are notoriously fragile. I mean, think of it like trying to balance a tiny spinning top perfectly, right?
Mhm.
Any little vibration or interaction with its environment, what we call noise or decoherence, can make it wobble and lose its delicate quantum state, and that leads to errors.
Exactly.
How are breakthroughs in these quantum control solutions addressing this fundamental challenge?
Well, quantum control is absolutely key here. This refers to the sophisticated hardware and software that enables basically everything,
Mm.
from precise qubit initialization and gate operations
Mm.
to error correction and readouts, effective error correction, suppression, mitigation. These are no longer optional. They're becoming essential for stability and accuracy on the path to fault-tolerant quantum computing.
And which advancements in 2024 really exemplify this pivot, this move towards stability and reliability?
We saw several really impressive developments. Google's Willow chip, for instance.
Hmm.
It demonstrated exponential suppression of error rates on a 105 qubit superconducting processor that really paves the way for logical qubit computation.
Okay, wow.
And AWS achieved an impressive feat, too. They efficiently encoded a robust logical qubit using just 9 physical qubits, reaching over 98% fidelity.
That sounds significant. It reduces the number of physical qubits needed for stability.
Exactly. It's a big step towards more powerful, manageable systems.
Yeah.
IBM also made strides, creating more reliable logical qubits. They prepared a magic state in 4 physical qubits that achieve fidelity above the break-in point.
Meaning it was more accurate than a single physical one.
Yes, precisely. Higher than a single physical qubit's fidelity. And beyond these major players, we're seeing impressive progress from others like atom computing and Quera. They're pushing boundaries with new atomic architectures.
Mm.
While companies like Allison Bob and Riverlane are tackling error correction head-on with innovative new hardware and software solutions, real progress across the board.
That's a comprehensive picture of the technical side. Beyond the actual quantum breakthroughs, what are the reports telling us about the intellectual property landscape? You mentioned a notable surge in patent activity.
That's right. Activity on granted QT patents rose approximately 13% year over year in 2024. IBM with 191 granted patents and Google with 168, they're leading in recent years, shows a strong increase in IP efforts.
And geographically, what does this patent activity reveal? Does it tell us anything about different national strategies?
Oh, definitely. This geographic split in patent applications isn't just a curiosity. It really highlights distinct national strategies. So the U.S. and Japan lead in total QT patents, granted U.S. 27%, Japan 14%. But when it comes to patent applications, the actual filings, The US and China lead overall, with about 28% each.
Right, so similar overall application numbers there.
But here's where it gets insightful, the breakdown. The US significantly leads in QComm applications, quantum communication, around 43% globally. That's driven by NIST and research institutes. And for quantum sensing, the US also leads with 45%, largely due to defense and military priorities, you'd assume.
Makes sense.
China, on the other hand, holds the global lead in QC-specific patent applications quantum computing with about 32%.
So that suggests China's strategic long game is focused more on foundational computational power.
That's how it looks, yeah. While the U.S. seems to be prioritizing secure communication and highly precise sensing, perhaps for more immediate applications or security needs.
That's a fascinating look at the strategic focus. And what about scientific publications?
China leads significantly there. In scientific publications in physical sciences, they count for about 42% of the total. And that's an impressive 7 percentage point increase in their share just from 2023 to 2024.
Wow. Okay, with all this foundational work and IP clearly accelerating, it begs the question, where does quantum technology fit into the broader economic landscape? Let's shift to the investment side. I'm seeing some incredibly compelling figures in these reports.
Yeah, the numbers are quite something.
What's the overall picture for funding in quantum technology, and what's particularly striking about those numbers for 2024?
Well, the investment in quantum technology is indeed surging. Funding for QT startups grew by approximately 50% year over year in 2024, reaching a remarkable $2 billion.
$1 billion,
Up from $1.3 billion in 2023. And while the private sector funding still makes up the majority, about 66%, or $1.3 billion in 2024.
Okay.
What's genuinely interesting, I think, is the significant increase in public funding. That saw a 19 percentage point rise from 2023 to 2024. It accounted for 34% of 2024 funding, or $680 million.
So a big jump in government money. That shows increasing urgency, right? A commitment from governments worldwide.
Absolutely. It demonstrates they're taking this very seriously now.
Yeah. So governments are clearly stepping up their game. What were some of the key investments and deals that stood out in this landscape? Any big names?
Yeah, we saw major players getting involved. SoftBank partnering with Quantinuum, Aramco investing in Pascal, Japan's AEST collaborating with Quera and IonQ, and the Qatar Investment Authority partnering with Alice and Bob. What's really notable, though, is that two late-stage startups, Sequantum and Quantinuum, together received almost half of the total investment in 2024.
Half. Just two companies.
Roughly, yeah. Approximately $925 million from their top two deals alone. This truly underscores investor confidence in these more mature companies, the ones approaching commercial viability. Big bets on the leaders.
And the governmental funding surge didn't stop there, did it? I saw some figures for early 2025 that are quite eye-opening.
Not at all. Governments announced $1.8 billion in funding for QT just in 2024. But this trend accelerated dramatically in early 2025. Public financing announcements exceeded $10 billion.
$10 billion.
Yes. Japan alone announced a $7.4 billion investment for next-gen chips and QC research. Spain committed $900 million. Wow. And you have other significant public investments, too. Australia's $620 million financial package for Sequantum, Illinois' $500 million investment in a quantum park, Singapore's $222 million in QT research. If you add it all up, overall national investments to date now total approximately $54 billion.
$54 billion. That shows a global recognition of quantum strategic importance, no doubt about it.
It really does.
That's a truly remarkable level of commitment from governments worldwide. Now let's pivot a bit to the market size and the value chain. Quantum computing companies are clearly shifting towards revenue generation now.
They are, yeah. They earned an estimated $650 million to $750 million in 2024. And they're expected to surpass $1 billion by the end of 2025.
And what's driving that?
It seems to be driven by increasing deployment of actual quantum hardware, plus that growing government and defense funding we just talked about.
Okay, so if we connect this to the bigger picture, what are the overall market projections for the entire quantum technology landscape, looking further out?
The total QT market is projected to reach as much as $97 billion in revenue worldwide by 2035.
$97 billion by 2035.
And it could even hit $198 billion by 2040, if you break it down. Quantum computing is expected to be worth maybe $28 billion to $72 billion by 2035. Quantum communication projected at $11 billion to $15 billion, and quantum sensing at $7 billion to $10 billion by 2035.
So a significant portion of that future value is still in the early stages, particularly for QC, it sounds like. How do these projections impact the value chain dynamics, today versus in the future?
That's a great point. Today, the equipment and components segment actually has the largest market value captured. It offers lower risk opportunities because their products are often hardware agnostic. They sell to everyone.
Right, picks and shovels.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But over the next 5 to 10 years, there's an expected value shift away from hardware and components towards application software and services.
So if I understand correctly, as the core quantum hardware becomes more standardized, more widely available, the real value, the money, will shift to what end users can actually do with the quantum tech and the services that help them do it.
Precisely. End users will become more quantum native, let's say, driving value in software and cloud services. And interestingly, most new startups founded in 2024, 11 out of 13, apparently are already focused on these two areas: equipment components and application software. They're recognizing where the future value likely lies.
That makes a lot of sense. It seems the quantum industry is also consolidating geographically in a way. These innovation clusters seem to be a growing trend, with quantum startups increasingly gathering into these hubs.
Yes, these clusters are a natural evolution, really. They bring together startup accelerators, academic institutions, research centers, investors, all in one place.
Creating an ecosystem.
Exactly. They often lead to the construction of greenfield QT facilities, basically building a complete ecosystem, fostering collaboration, and hopefully accelerating progress.
And where are we seeing these hubs emerge or expand? Are there specific regions leading this consolidation?
Well, Asia is seeing rapid growth. New hubs in Abu Dhabi, Tel Aviv, Tokyo. 5 of the 19 new QT startups in 2024 were based in Asia, which highlights its increasing prominence.
Okay.
In the U.S., key clusters are emerging and strengthening, particularly in Illinois and Maryland.
And are these U.S. clusters benefiting from specific government actions, or is it more organic growth?
It's definitely a combination, I'd say. The U.S. government's actions, things like restricting investments in Chinese QC, launching quantum R&D initiatives like the proposed $2.7 billion for 2025-29, focusing on cybersecurity, they're actively boosting funding and development in U.S. QT clusters.
So federal push.
And state level, too. Illinois committed that $500 million in 2024 to a quantum park, including $200 million for a cryogenic plant, specifically for sequantum. Maryland launched an initiative in early 2025 aiming to catalyze over $1 billion in public-private investments, partnering with IonQ and the University of Maryland.
Right. These are strategic, targeted investments then, building regional quantum powerhouses.
Exactly.
Now, let's take a deep dive into one of those pillars, quantum communication, QComm, especially this idea of Q-Day. Can you maybe start by telling us what QComm is and why it's so vital right now?
Sure. QComm enables the secure transfer of quantum information across distances. Its core promise, really, is ensuring communication security, even against, theoretically, unlimited quantum computing power, because it leverages the fundamental laws of physics to protect data.
Okay, and this raises an important, almost cinematic question, maybe. What exactly is Q-Day? It sounds like something out of a techno thriller. But for those of us whose data relies on current encryption, it's a very real and potentially disruptive future, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Q-Day is defined as the point at which quantum computers become powerful enough to break classical encryption standards. Things like RSA 2048, which secures pretty much everything from your online banking to government secrets. When this happens, sensitive data using that legacy encryption becomes vulnerable instantly, leading to potentially massive economic and societal disruption. Businesses, governments, they'll face an urgent need to implement quantum-safe security measures before Q-Day hits. Otherwise, their entire data history could potentially be exposed.
So what are the drivers behind this impending Q-Day, and how close are we? Is there any consensus?
The drivers are pretty clear. Breakthrough quantum algorithms, like Shor's algorithm, that can crack classical encryption. Then you have advances in error correction, which reduce the number of qubits needed for reliable logical qubits, and just rapid hardware advancements generally.
Okay.
The exact timing, that's uncertain, of course. It depends on the number of available stable physical qubits and the maturation of these cracking algorithms. But some projections suggest this could happen within the next decade.
The next decade. That isn't very far off, really, when you think about the scale of cryptographic updates needed globally.
Not at all. It's a huge undertaking.
And how big is the QComm market expected to get then, in light of this critical security imperative?
Well, the total QComm market was estimated at about $1.0 billion in 2023. It's projected to reach somewhere between $10.5 billion and $14.9 billion by 2035. That represents a robust compound annual growth rate, 22–25%.
So significant growth, reflecting that urgent demand.
Definitely. Demand for quantum-resistant security solutions.
Who are the biggest customers for QComm right now, and who's likely to be driving that growth in the future?
Right now, governments, including defense, are the largest customers. They had about 62–66% share in 2023, reflecting national security priorities.
Understandable.
However, private sector involvement is projected to grow rapidly, especially in telecommunications, expected to jump from maybe 2–6% in 2023 to 16–26% by 2035, and financial services projected to reach 14–24% by 2035. These are sectors, obviously, with vast amounts of sensitive data.
Makes sense. What are the main applications of QComm, and sort of what are their current maturity levels? How ready are they?
Okay, the primary applications are in security. First, you have quantum key distribution, QKD. This leverages quantum physics to create inherently unhackable cryptographic keys, basically by detecting any eavesdropping attempts.
Okay, physics-based security.
Right. And then there's post-quantum cryptography, or PQC. This takes a different approach. It's about developing new mathematical algorithms, ones that can run on today's classical computers, but are designed to withstand attacks from even the most powerful future quantum machines.
So software-based resilience.
Exactly, and PQC is currently the most commercialized and mature vertical. It focuses on data security for Q-Day and beyond. Then you have networks, things like modular interconnects, regional networks, the idea of a quantum global internet. These are generally less mature but hold significant promise for the future.
Right.
And finally, there are services like technical support and consulting to help organizations actually adopt and implement these solutions. Yeah.
So PQC, QKD, and the services are already in, you said, partial production, but the network side is still developing. How will truly long-distance, maybe even intercontinental quantum communication become possible? That seems like a huge hurdle.
It is. For long-distance and intercontinental quantum communication, the development of quantum repeaters is absolutely crucial. These are essentially hardware devices designed to amplify quantum signals and distribute entanglement, that unique quantum connection between particles over long distances.
Without destroying the delicate quantum state.
Exactly. That's the trick.
Yeah.
Overcoming distance limitations without losing the quantum information. They are complex to build, but they're expected to be available in, let's say, approximately 10 years. That would unlock truly global quantum networks.
10 years, okay. And thinking about Q-Day again, which industries are really on the front lines, most exposed to the impact?
Industries that are highly reliant on cryptography, obviously, but also have low crypto agility.
Crypto agility, meaning?
Meaning their systems are complex, deeply embedded, maybe old, and not easily updated. They face the strongest impact from Q-Day. This includes sectors like aerospace and defense, insurance, telecommunications, and government. They'll need to rapidly adapt their entire digital infrastructure to new quantum-safe standards, which is a massive job.
A huge challenge for them. Okay, moving to the third pillar, quantum sensing, or QS. It sounds like this field is already seeing a pretty significant shift towards real-world application. Unlike QC, maybe, which often still focuses on fundamental breakthroughs, QS seems much closer to commercial reality.
That's a great observation, yeah. Indeed, unlike some of the more academic breakthroughs you still see dominating QC news, quantum sensing announcements are largely industry-driven now and commercial. Moving toward tangible use cases, the field is maturing rapidly, with multiple use cases already realized, or very close.
Can you give us some key examples of these commercial applications? What do they actually mean for us?
Certainly. NASA achieved the first demonstration of an ultra-cold quantum sensor in space, up on the ISS, showing precision measurement is possible even in those extreme environments. QCTRL demonstrated quantum navigation that overcame GPS denial using quantum magnetometers.
So navigation without GPS.
Exactly. Outperforming traditional systems in areas without GPS signals. Imagine the implications for autonomous vehicles or military operations where GPS might be jammed or unavailable.
Right, huge.
Quantum Diamonds launched a diamond-based quantum microscopy tool specifically for semiconductor chip failure analysis, offering unprecedented precision for manufacturing quality control. And Sandbox AQ introduced AQNav, a real-time AI-driven quantum navigation system also designed to address GPS jamming.
These are all real, tangible applications happening now then, not just theoretical possibilities anymore.
Exactly. QS is moving fast into the real world.
So what does this all mean for the broader technology landscape then? We've looked at the pillars, but quantum technology isn't just impactful on its own, is it? It seems like a key enabler within the broader disruptive tech ecosystem, offering powerful synergies with other emerging innovations.
Absolutely. That's a crucial point. Take AI and machine learning, for instance. QT can accelerate quantum hardware development itself through AI-driven material discovery. And looking the other way, quantum computing could potentially redefine the scale and speed of AI model training, solving problems previously completely impossible.
And robotics. How does quantum intertwine with that field?
Well, robotics plays a key role in manufacturing quantum components today, needing high precision. But it also stands to benefit directly from QT through enhanced computing power for robot control or planning, secure communication for robotic fleets, and especially improved sensing precision for the robots themselves, allowing them to perceive and interact with their environment in entirely new, more nuanced ways.
Interesting. What about sustainability and climate tech? That's obviously a critical area for our future.
This sector can benefit profoundly from QT advances.
Yeah.
Think about areas like material discovery for new, better batteries or catalysts for green energy, modeling complex systems like molecular interactions for drug discovery or perhaps climate forecasting with unprecedented accuracy, and optimizing complex production processes for greater efficiency and less waste. It's about finding more precise and powerful solutions for these huge global challenges.
And finally, a huge one we touched on, cryptography and cybersecurity. Quantum technology seems to be both the threat and the solution here, doesn't it?
It's truly a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
QT presents both risks, like the breaking of current encryption we discussed with Q-Day,
Right, the big strap.
and immense opportunities for next-generation protections. This includes things like quantum key distribution for unhackable communication channels, quantum random number generation for creating stronger, truly random encryption keys, and entirely new quantum-resistant cryptographic methods, the PQC algorithms. It will fundamentally reshape how we think about and achieve digital security going forward.
Wow. Okay, so we've journeyed through this really dynamic landscape of quantum technology today. We've witnessed that pivotal shift in QC, from just growing qubits to ensuring their stability.
The move to reliability.
We've seen the incredible surge in both private and, maybe more surprisingly, public investments, and the exciting commercialization already happening in quantum sensing.
We've also unpacked the critical implications of Q-Day for quantum communication security, a really important takeaway, and explored how QT is forming these powerful synergies with other cutting-edge technologies, proving it's far more than just a standalone field.
Yeah, the quantum world is no longer just a concept in physics textbooks, is it? It's rapidly moving into reality. It's reshaping industries and creating both challenges and, wow, immense
It
opportunities.
really is an exciting time.
So as this quantum revolution accelerates, maybe a final thought for you, our listeners. What specific areas in your own field, or maybe even just your daily life, might be most impacted by quantum technology in the coming years? And perhaps how might you begin to prepare for these profound shifts? Something to think about.